Getting hurt is a part of life. Maybe you've tripped over your own feet at one point, or fallen flat on your face. Or maybe you've gone through something that's so nuts that just looking at a treadmill makes you freak out. Wait, is that just me? Okay, so let's talk about some of my craziest childhood memories, including that one time a treadmill gave me a concussion. But you'll have to stick around for that story. But before we do that, it's time for a quick, hey, what you drawing segment of the video. The art you're watching me draw in the background is some Little Nightmares 2 crossover fan art with my webcomic Outcasts. I had a lot of fun deciding how my OCs would cross over into the Little Nightmares universe, especially the last fan art piece. If you haven't watched or played this video game, I highly recommend it. I'm too much of a wimp to actually play it, but I watch people play it and it's really good. If you'd like to see more art like this or want to check out or learn more about the characters, you can check out my webcomic Outcasts on Tapas and come join my Patreon for exclusive content. Links to both of those are in the description below. And now, without further ado, let's flash back to some of my slightly traumatic, okay, maybe very traumatic, childhood memories and injuries. Honestly, I don't have a ton of injury stories from my early childhood, which is crazy considering how accident prone I was and am. But the earliest one I can clearly remember was stepping barefoot on a Lego piece when I was 3 years old. And holy crap, did that hurt. I mean, it was only plastic, but by the way I was bawling my eyes out at the time, you'd think it had metal spikes on fire. And from that day on, my mom always made sure I never walked around the house barefoot. Even though I still do all the time now. Yep, I'm a stupid rebel without a cause. And I've been in dance for the vast majority of my life, so that might explain it. Maybe if a lot of people want to hear some more dance or drill team stories, I will make a story time about, but moving on to more stupidity. My most memorable injury from elementary school was around the 5th grade, and I specifically remember it was the 5th grade because we still had recess, and my guy friend and I were hanging out on the swings. Well, he was swinging, I was pushing him. My guy friend Wyatt, yes, the same guy from the last video, was pretty silly, really sweet, still pretty silly, and he was pretending to be Superman on the swing. He did this by laying on his down on his stomach on the swing as he pushed him. And I don't remember if I pushed him too hard or what, but what I clearly remember is that Wyatt came swinging back towards me and wham! He slammed into me hard and I hit the gravel. Yes, we had gravel on the playground, so lucky me. I shakily got to my feet as everyone looked at me, and of course they were very concerned. Now, something that you need to know about me is that I'm stubborn. Very stubborn, and even as a 10-year-old, I didn't want to cry or ask for help. So, even though I was obviously hurt and needed help, I brushed it off and said, "I'm fine, thanks," as I pathetically limped my scratched up self to the nurse's office. Look, I was already a little kid who was very much a late bloomer. I didn't need anyone else's pity at that moment. So, as you've probably seen in the thumbnail, and I know probably a lot of you are wondering, why I mentioned that a treadmill gave me PTSD early in the video. So here's the one that I've been holding in my back pocket. My first concussion, and how a treadmill became my worst nightmare. So I was around 10 or 11 when this injury happened. And I was visiting my mom's aunt and uncle up in Washington State. This was probably around the summer of my 5th grade year since we were on vacation. I was hanging out in the exercise room with my older brother and my cousin. So, mistake number 1, hanging out with my brother never led to anything good. I mean, the last time we were playing at that age, he'd gotten silly putty stuck in my hair and we ended up having to cut it out. But I was a stupid kid and had a short attention span, so, can you blame me? Okay, yeah, you probably can blame me, but going on. So my brother and my cousin were showing off how well they could run on a treadmill, and they steadily increased the speed. Emphasis on the word steadily. Now, little me knew two things at that moment. One, I never backed down from a challenge. And two, I idolized my brother back then, as any little sister would. And I wanted to be just like him. So that was mistake number 2. Okay, maybe not a mistake, but yeah. The boys trying to warn me it might be too fast for me, and honestly, they're right. I have short legs. I was pretty tiny, but as I proved before, there's a fine line between stubbornness and stupidity. And as a little kid, and sometimes even now, I used that line like a freaking jump rope. So I got on and started walking. And this is where things went horribly wrong. As I might mentioned, my brother and cousin steadily increased the speed. I did not. All of a sudden, the treadmill shot me backwards right at my cousin. Now, a very minor but very crucial detail that I've left out is my cousin was wearing a hard cast on his arm. I remember this specifically because it was pink. And with my crappy luck, guess what happened? That's right. I slammed my head into his hard cast and hit the floor hard. And I may be limp, but I mean it knocked the wind out of me. Playground hijinks had nothing on this crap. My brother and cousin were understandably very, very, very concerned. I mean, my head hurt, and I was really dizzy at the time. But again, I'm really stubborn, and I didn't want them to be worried about me, so I just said I was fine. I was gonna go lay down. And as soon as my head hit the mattress, I felt something wet on the covers. I lifted my head up, looked down at the sheets, and saw a whole mess of blood. I distinctly remember thinking, who put ketchup on this bed? Look, I know my kid logic has no bounds, but I was bleeding out. Cut me some slack here. Once my psyche came back in, I went crying down to my parents and my aunt and uncle with blood dripping down my head, and they drove me to the hospital. I don't remember much after that. Again, blood loss. But I do specifically remember getting staples in my head. So that's the story how I ended up getting staples in my head, and with stupid treadmill, combined with my stubbornness, made the best tag team ever. And even to this day, I'm still terrified of treadmills. But I can still walk on them. Hey, you win some, you lose some. Moral of the story is, don't trust treadmills ever. Wait, what do you mean you took something else away from this? And that's a wrap for my worst injury stories. I hope you guys liked this, even though it had a very different topic than my last video. Just a reminder, if you want to see more art like this, speed paints, or you want to read my webcomic for free on Tapas, the links to both are in the description. Keep creating, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.